Right here with three very special guests today, and I see that Tony and Arick are both laughing. Arick Shankles is laughing. So it's a special episode today because I have on my brother Tony Recco, who was actually on last week, filling in for Tyler, and then Tyler's brother Arick Shankles, who is also a guest today, and then a special wise man, Arick Hop, a good buddy who I just took back home with me to Western uh, New York and met Tony and the family. So I thought I would have him on to talk as well and kind of conversate with us. So, hey, Arick, introduce yourself, buddy.
Which Arick?
Shankles.
Yeah, exactly.
Shankles, sorry.
Hey, what's up? My name is Arick. I'm Tyler's younger brother by about half a decade, give or take about 10 days.
Yep.
What else do you want me to say? I was wrestling in Alabama. I was a 4-time state champ in Alabama. And then following that, I went and moved up to Edinburgh. That's where I met Sam and Tony. Me and Tony were practice partners for, the first couple years until I kind of fell off the train for a little bit. And then Tony quit, and then I hopped on. So that's kind of how that went. But
I didn't quit. I graduated.
no, quit, graduated with the same difference, right? But anyway, so yeah, then I wrestled at Edinburgh for a few years, got 2 degrees, and now I'm just sitting at home waiting on jobs. So that's.
What did you major in at Edinburgh?
I was so my first degree was in sports and recreation administration, and then my second degree was health and PE teaching certificate. So pretty much anything in sports realm, I kind of got you. I got you on that.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Tony talked about himself last week, but I'll let him go over some simple stuff again and, introduce himself quickly.
Yeah. I met Arick in Edinburgh. Pretty much first day, wrestled together.
Dude, I was going to tell that story, man. We actually met the very first day, and I remember wrestling you and Andrew North, somebody who was on the team at the time, and I remember getting my butt kicked and texting my dad and being like, man, 2 kids from New York just all practice.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the start of it. And then we pretty much hung out almost every day for the past 5 years-ish, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of want our followers and our viewers and our future guests to know, like, that basically me and Tyler started this podcast through me meeting Arick and, like, Tony meeting Arick at college, and it's just crazy, like, how life just finds a way to, like, meet new people and, like, start new adventures. But yeah, it's a pretty cool experience to actually not have met Tyler yet, but have started this. So sorry, Arick.
It's coming here in the next month or so.
Me and Tony definitely take credit for the start of the podcast. That's 100%.
Yeah.
Gonna grab some of the royalties.
Pretty much we started it.
I don't know about that, but we'll have Arick Hop introduce himself quick, and hey, this guy's a smart man. So, Arick?
Yeah, Arick Hop from Lincoln, Illinois. Met Sammy last year when he moved to coach at Lincoln College. We hit it off and became really good friends. And as he mentioned, I just went back and met the family in Western New York. Had a great time. Met Tony. Now excited to be here on the podcast.
And you attended college at where?
So 2 years at Lincoln College. Played baseball both years, and then transferred to Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. Played a semester there before I hung the cleats up and started focusing on school.
Yeah, so I think that having us 5 on for this podcast, it was honestly a good idea. Like, just because all 5 of us have a very similar background in education and athletics and so on and so forth. And I thought, like, having a conversation like the 5 of us just flowing well, and I like that.
Yeah, pretty much. At the end of the day, you think me and Tony have known each other for 5 years. Me and Tyler, he'd known me for like
Since you were born.
Years.
Yeah.
Since before you were born.
Yeah, I think at some point I've lived with everybody except the other Arick. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much.
So before I forget, a great song by Slipknot. Before I forget, I just want to say this: that Arick actually has some songs on Apple Music and Spotify. Like, he's a good artist in the music industry, and I want Arick to like just go over like how that came to be, how he's so successful, and if there's maybe a future in doing it still.
Okay, so I think I actually started songwriting in 2015 between going to Edinburgh and graduating from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. It started off, my dad bought me a $100 microphone and a $100 program called Mixcraft, and it's like the worst program you could get for music. Like, I mean, I won't say this, it's really easy to learn, but it's like not good. It's definitely not industry standard. And so I started songwriting. I was terrible. I would send it out to everybody and they would laugh behind. Like, I know they would laugh at me. It was just terrible. It probably still is not great, but so I kept at it. And, a few years down the road, I started making some music that kind of started gaining some traction, at least in Edinburgh. And then eventually it kind of put me on some big stages. I've opened up for a few big names, in music, such as like T-Pain, and I've performed in front of, 3,000 people at one time. I think a lot of it just came from me really being determined. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily musically gifted or like really talented. And a lot of songwriting, it comes from just repetition and doing 100 times. I probably have, I'd say 300 songs in my phone that'll never be heard by anybody, and I was actually listening to songs. I was back from vacation, and it was like a 13-hour drive. I was just listening to my own music, it kind of just going through it. As far as the future, I was supposed to open up for Fetty Wap at Edinburgh when he was going to come for their spring concert. That was kind of a big deal, and then COVID happened, so that kind of bummed me out. And I don't know about the future. We'll see. As I enter the professional realm of teaching and coaching, it's going to be a lot harder to do that. I would love to. I think everybody should follow their dreams and their passions when it comes to like what they want to do. I mean, like I said, I was never one that was musically talented growing up. I don't know how to play an instrument. I just learned how to songwrite, and I just kept at it. And eventually, I have songs with thousands of views, and it just comes from repetition and doing it over and over. I think
I might have to leak some of the old auto-tune raps that I've still got from back in the day that you probably don't know that I've got, but I've got them. Might have to just put those out there.
I would really, honestly, I need to send you guys some funny stuff from when I started. I literally have it all on this laptop. Like, I have all my music pretty much on this one laptop. And man, let me tell you, those first songs, I actually get embarrassed. Like, I start getting hot and sweaty when I like listen to them. It's like,
it's like watching videos of you wrestling.
Yeah,
not
dude,
just you
it's
specifically.
like when you were 5 and you're
They're
like,
just like doing anything.
Yeah, looking back and like watching, or like me even listening, like to myself on the podcast, I like don't like it for some reason, and I hate watching old wrestling matches.
People don't know this. My first performance ever. So like I'd recorded all this music, I'd done all this stuff, I recorded everything. My first performance ever was in front of 3,000 people, and I crowd surfed. That doesn't happen. Like
That's awesome.
Imagine getting on stage in front of 3,000 people, not knowing how your voice is going to sound live. That was me. I was like, It was like I was warming up for the state finals again. Like that's how that felt, like
yeah. So that is a good next question for you, Arick Shankles, is like, if like I'm talking like about pressure on you and stress on you, which part like had the more pressure, like your 4 state finals matches or getting on stage and singing?
Oh man, I would say my first state title is very comparable to my first time on stage. My first state title being that I wasn't, the number 1 seed going in. I wasn't necessarily the favorite going in. I had a lot of close matches with a lot of people. And then you take that and compare it to opening up for T-Pain in front of 3,000 people, and most of these people are your friends. Man, it's like it's very nerve-wracking, right? Luckily, I had a really good support system around me at the time, and I was able to, in both scenarios, really. But I think I was more prepared for the wrestling state title, but I think it was more nerve-wracking because I had a lot of expectations in wrestling. Whereas in music, if I fail in front of 3,000 people, those 3,000 people think I suck, and then I just move on. I just keep
just hang up the mic.
Yeah, I just drop off the stage. I mean, that's really, as far as wrestling, when you're a freshman and you're 13, 14 years old and you're wrestling in front of thousands of people, and it's a little more nerve-wracking, especially when you have somebody like Tyler that's already went ahead of you and won a couple, and then your team, wins state titles every year. There's just a lot of built-up expectations in our program at the time, so I'd say that was probably more nerve-wracking.
And Tony, how well did Arick sound on stage at first?
I wasn't there. I didn't go.
Really?
No, yeah.
I don't know why I didn't go. I don't know. I probably had something going on.
You've seen me perform like 2 or 3 other times.
Yeah, I went to a couple other ones that weren't really as big as that one. That one was probably pretty big. That was probably your biggest one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that was probably my biggest one.
No, I went to a couple other ones that were pretty fun.
I say when I went on tour, you were at a couple of those.
Yep. Yeah. I also had
They're all
that's
fun.
when I was fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, live concerts are super fun.
Yeah, I
No matter
love.
if there's 50
a lot about that.
if there's 50 people or there's 10,000 people, man, you're gonna have a good time, even if you don't.
I'm gonna dive right into this conversation. Then, who is the best live act that all 5 of us have seen live?
Why you gotta do this to me, man?
Hey, who's the best live act? Band, artist, Arick Shankles. Who's the best? Or a top 3, Tyler?
Oh,
Okay, I'll give you a top 3 performances I've ever seen. Metallica is up there, top 3, easily. Paul McCartney.
Oh.
And U2.
Oh, Bono.
Yeah, I bet they were pretty good.
Those are my top 3. Those, seeing those just blew me away. When you've got, it was 85,000 people singing Hey Jude out in a field, lighters up and everything. They had, people who had flown across the field and, dropped, little, LED lights down and everything. It was wild. It was probably, if I had to pick one, I'd probably say that one, just because it was just, there was just so much going on, and it was such a moment that will never happen again anywhere ever. That would probably be my number one. But U2 and Metallica are definitely up there nipping at the heels.
I thought you were going to say Bass Nectar.
I mean, I've got so many Bass Nectar concerts that, those are in their whole category, over here, because there's just so many of them. It's insane.
Arick, how about you?
Oh,
Live act.
slim pickings. The only live concerts I've been to, I think they've all been country. FGL was really good. I think it was FGL, Brantley Gilbert, maybe Luke Bryan. But yeah, I really haven't been to a whole lot. I need to.
You definitely need to.
You hang out with me, you'll go.
Yeah, and Sammy.
It's all I do.
He's talking me into some Metallica, so.
Tony, how about you?
Son, what about you?
I don't know. I'd say I like Five Finger Death Punch. Probably biased for them just because I like them a lot. Metallica was good. Nickelback was actually really good. A lot of people diss Nickelback, but they had
I'm not gonna hate on Nickelback because
they had a really good live act. Yeah.
Arick Shankles?
You're probably gonna call me a wuss for this, but Maroon 5 is probably my favorite.
I knew that was coming.
My favorite live performance, just because Adam Levine, man, he can actually sing, and being an artist, you have to respect that you can actually, cut all the instruments out and actually sing and not have anything on your voice kind of thing. And then there's me, I'm just kidding. No, but definitely Maroon 5 for sure.
I'll give you another one, since he's talking about people who sound good live.
Yeah.
The Weeknd
Really?
says, just like he does on the albums, can hit all the high notes everything. Just like it sounds the exact same. It's even better. So
Yeah, so
there's you another one.
Wow.
you know what? I can see the Weeknd and Adam singing like live because they both like have actual good voices.
Oh yeah.
But my top three now, this is where it gets tricky because I've probably been to over 50 concerts. I'm gonna give my honorable mention to Ed Sheeran, and I saw him live at no, not Heinz Field. Is it PNC Park? The like Pirates Stadium.
Mhm.
So I saw him live there with an ex-girlfriend. He was great live, but my top three, Korn, and I will never forget Korn because
Yeah,
I
Korn
was
is
stuck
good.
in a mosh pit like with Tony, and just seeing the like whole crowd just in sync with each other, like nodding their heads, it was epic. Number two, Slipknot. I have been to like over, 50 or some concerts, and I have never seen so many people at Slipknot. And
Yeah.
ask Tony, right?
It was, yeah, honestly, we got stuck in traffic. Like, we were probably half a mile from getting in our cars, like just the park, and I don't know, over probably close to 2 hours.
I got.
Oh, dude, it was so
Oh,
bad,
wait.
dude.
And me like thinking Slipknot, hey, if like me and Tony leave like an hour or two early, like
Yeah.
obviously I like am probably going to make it there and be good. But man, I have never seen so many people at a concert. So that's number two. Number one, Metallica. Hearing one just start live and for whom the bell tolls was just an experience I will never forget. But yeah, those are.
Oh, honorable mention for me would be G-Eazy. I just remember that. He used a live drummer. He's a rapper. He used a live drummer, and I think that was really cool to see because not a lot of people do that anymore. And that was something cool.
He also drums?
No. He didn't play him himself. He just had a drummer on stage with him. It was also like him, Logic, and YG all at this concert in Ohio. So. And Kanye West. I forgot Kanye West. I mean, Kanye West is probably the best performer
I was about
ever.
to say because we saw the same year when he was on the Life of Pablo tour.
Yeah.
I saw him first, and then you saw him.
Are you voting for
Floating
Kanye
stage.
2020?
A floating. Yes. No, I'm not voting for Kanye 2020.
I will not be voting for Kanye 2020.
I will not.
Neither will I.
You know, he'd have to give me a really good reason. Like he'll pay for my personal flight to.
Yes, but yeah.
Eric is staying silent over here in the corner.
That's a conversation for a completely different podcast.
Absolutely. I told Tyler too.
Oh, man.
Before this all started, no politics.
Nope.
Nothing about gods and
Stay away from politics and religion.
Yeah, politics and.
Oh man, I thought that's what I signed up for.
I know, right?
Oh, you guys came to the wrong episode then.
Next door.
I thought we came to argue.
Yeah.
That's later on in the season.
There has been many late nights of me and Eric arguing.
I can believe it.
You know, and
Eric
I think
loves
that's
to argue.
So do I. And
number one. I like to argue. Number two, I think a lot of people, especially in today's age, not diving into the politics of it, people don't when they don't agree with something, they instantly just turn their back from it, right? And I think I think that's why me and Tony are so close. Allowing somebody from the opposite end of your views, to hear them out, respect their decisions, and kind of even if you don't agree with it at the basic level, to kind of turn around and be like, I hear what you're saying. I still don't agree with it, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think that would benefit the country a lot more in general, but mostly just friendships. And I think that's why me and Tony are best friends. Man, we argued till late. I'd say 100 times, 200 times. I really don't know.
it didn't matter what it was over. It could have been over board games.
But it wasn't ever. And the thing is, we never got mad enough to where we actually
Yeah.
disliked each other, right? We would be
True.
heated, but we wouldn't be heated to a point where we're gonna be like, nah, I hate you. I'm never talking to you again. It was always constructive arguments, I'd say.
And actually, I was just talking to Arick Hop about this, so hopefully he can also chime in here. But I don't want to talk too much on it, but I'm a bit tired of the social media banter, hating on a certain side. because I don't favor this side or that side, but listen, it is nice to be open to both sides and like listen and like not hate and like just find peace and like love both sides or like just I just get so frustrated with it, and I'm happy that Arick Shankles just said that because I feel the same way. That because like listen, I am listening to Joe Biden and Donald Trump and Kanye because
And Kanye. I've been listening to Kanye recently. I heard his.
I just want to hear what he has to say. I just want to know, like, is he
Very well.
like researching?
Dude, I heard he didn't even make the deadlines for like all the paperwork.
Yeah, for a lot of the big
But
states.
hey, his first couple albums, Late Registration, great classic album of Kanye. So you never know. Maybe he'll get in.
And like Arick Shankles said, there's a constructive way to do it, and to where everyone can still, be on the same playing field without, all the hate flying around.
And another thing that plays into that too is social media, right? And there's a disconnect between our culture right now and social media where you can say anything you want behind a wall, right? You can say anything you want. You can post whatever you want. And it doesn't even have to be you. It could be a facade, right? You can make a fake account. And so a lot of divisiveness is coming from social media itself, and I think there's a lot of benefits to it, but that would be probably one of the negative sides to it is just how divisive it can be. And it's very, like you said, it's very frustrating to see, especially when you lean down the middle, right? Like you can be open to both sides. It is very frustrating to see, somebody attacking this person or somebody attacking that person for certain beliefs. And it, like I said, you just gotta be open. You just gotta be open-minded.
And that's what we call social engineering. That's how they use it as a tactic.
All right, history major, calm down.
Man, I know a lot about systems, man.
So next, I wanted to talk. So we'll actually Eric, Tony, and Eric Hop about how they got into athletics, and like like for Eric and Tony, Eric Shankles and Tony, like how did y'all start wrestling? Just in for Eric Hop, how did you start baseball and like you know what made the three of you fall in love with your sport and keep pursuing it in like past high school and into college? And I'll start with Tony.
Probably just the competitiveness in doing anything really. I'd say we got pushed into wrestling more than any other sport. Plus, as in football, our school didn't have a football anyway, and it's tough to get into these other sports when you're 5'5", 90 pounds entering your freshman year of high school. Like, what other sport can I do? I can't be a middle linebacker. I can't hit a home run out of the park.
We both
Well, yeah, in Pee Wee. There's not too many things you can really do. But when weight classes are implemented and stuff, and you can compete at your weight and then wrestling, I had a lot of success, youth, middle school, high school, and then college kind of downhill. But yeah, that's pretty much how we got into it. Just competing and doing everything, a lot of repetitions of wrestling, and you just get good at it. And then once you had success at the high school level, I don't know. For me, I just like competing personally, like in anything. Like if I'm on the golf course or if I'm playing Arick in Axis and Allies or Catan or Call of Duty, then I want to compete and be good. And that's just where it comes from, probably.
Yeah, that was a pretty good answer, and conversation that I could go off into, but I'll ask Eric Hop next how he got into the sport of baseball.
Yeah, so I didn't start playing baseball until I think it was the summer before 6th grade. So I was quite older whenever I started. It started out as a dream, just like many other kids, turned into a hobby, and then ultimately that was kind of my ticket into college. And it was great. I loved it. I ended up, whenever I transferred to Milliken, I ultimately was faced with a decision. I had a lot going on with school. I had to squeeze, 3 years into 2 with transferring credits and everything. So school was taking up a lot of time. I was missing practices for school events, school projects, and ultimately I didn't want that to affect the team. as a whole. So I had to decide to kind of give it up there. But it's incredible just the amount of people you meet and network with. And to this day, anytime you travel, we just like yesterday, we ran into somebody in a completely different state who is also a baseball family member of mine. And it's just that's the biggest thing I think that kind of held me in there was the camaraderie and meeting a bunch of different people and being able to interact with pretty much anyone and everyone so long you were on the baseball field. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Arick Shankles?
So I started off wrestling when I was probably 3 or 4, something like that. Like I said, Tyler's 5 years older than me, so you gotta think he's 8, 9. That's kind of when he started wrestling, and then I kind of just followed in those footsteps. And along the way, you're involved in a bunch of different sports. I think I did everything except. I always tell everybody I did everything except swimming, right? And I still love to swim, but I just never wanted to do it competitively. A lot of people don't know I actually ran cross country. I was actually 4th in the state in cross country when I was in 8th grade, and then quit just to focus on wrestling. And so I think, like Tony said, a lot of it comes from the competitiveness, right? It's like you start to see some success when you're young in something, and then you just want to keep finding that. It's like what they call like chasing the dragon, kind of, right? And you're just like continue to chase that feeling of succeeding and winning and getting these medals and trophies and being the best that you can. And then eventually you kind of develop a love for one specific sport, or you get pushed in some cases, right? But in my experience, you fall in love with it. And there are ups and downs to that, right? You can fall out of love with it, and then you can fall back in love with it, and there's a bunch of different things, right? But at the end of the day, I think all of us in here would agree that the main component is competition. And like Tony said, man, if I'm playing rock, paper, scissors, I want to win every single time. And I'm a sore loser. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm a big sore loser.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
Yes.
I mean, dude,
There's been some 6-hour Axis and Ally games that he's lost and stormed out of the room.
Yeah, I'll lock myself in the room. I mean, not really, but at the end of the day, you just want to be the best in everything you can be, and that goes not just in athletics, man. It goes into everything, right? When you want to be the best person you can be outside. You want to be the best person with the best grades on your team. You want to do everything right, both on and off your court, mat, field, whatever. You want to be the best, and a lot of people get out of touch with that aspect. They think it's all about sports, but it's definitely not, right? If you're not a good person off off whatever you're doing, it's going to translate. Eventually it's going to catch up to you. You got to be well-rounded for sure.
I think that's why I love athletics and mostly wrestling, obviously, but I also love baseball. And I think being in athletics in youth, in middle school, high school, college, and even the pros, like it just helps you in life, and it helps you in so much, like just uh, uh, understanding certain things, and like on the court or on the wrestling mat, and off the court or off the wrestling mat, and just really how to be a better human being. And I love just how sports focuses on that and teaches it. And I am trying to teach it now at my college. So yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm trying to teach that to my kids. I'm coaching a little bit right now, doing some private lessons and stuff. And I was just got done telling a kid, today, you got to keep your grades up. You got to do this and that. You got to be good everywhere in your life. If you want to be a state champion, even though Alabama's not a very what they consider a tough state to win a state title in, for us it is, right? It's like your reality is your experience is your reality. So it's kind of like, to these kids, that's all they know, right? But you still have to be good in everything. It may not be the best in the world, but to be the best in your state, you still have to be the best in your state in everything.
And actually, me and Tyler talked about this with Kellen Devlin and Hayden a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, like life after sports, because some people can't hack it, and I was honestly one of them. Post graduation and post sports, man, I didn't quite know where I was headed towards, or really what job I wanted, or and it was a very hard time to like figure that stuff out, just because like since age 4 or 5 I've been playing sports since age 22, 23, and like after that it was a struggle, but I found my calling in coaching college wrestling, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, a lot of people don't plan for it either, right? A lot of people just don't plan ahead. They just think that sports is the end all be all, and they don't look past it. And I think a lot of people do experience that. I mean, I'm kind of having a little bit of that. Unfortunately, COVID hitting kind of hurt my chances as far as getting the most opportunities I could. But at the same time, a lot of people just don't even plan, right? They just see, oh, I'm going to get a degree, and then I'm just going to – that's it. So it's kind of – that does hurt some people in the long run for sure.
I think the biggest thing on why people struggle after athletics is honestly probably one, the competition. They don't have that competition feeling anymore, so you kind of feel a little empty. And two is the structure. Not many people know what it's like to go through the rigorous structured like 6 a.m., 3:30 p.m. workouts every single day for 4 years. And you just like, that's your purpose. Your one purpose is to wrestle. I mean, that's just wrestling. I mean, I know football and baseball, all the other sports are like that. And then after that, you're just kind of like, wow, I have free time. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I've seen it happen a lot where, kids give up a sport and just kind of fall off and they lose that structure. So, yeah, definitely.
And I'll even say on record, I didn't wrestle for one of my years in college, and I was just kind of out there, I mean, I did focus on music a little more. It was kind of in between stuff, but man, my schedule was terrible, and I already don't eat well. I have a yoo-hoo right here. If anybody knows me, I have like one of the worst diets ever, right? But I definitely I was very unhealthy. I was like, my sleep schedule was messed up. I started like missing classes. Man, I just couldn't do it, right?
I got a funny story.
Oh God, here we go.
Both Aricks here have the longest like back-to-back mornings. So the longest McDonald's streak of eating at least there once a day. Arick Shankles, I have never seen a human being eat there back-to-back days, but I'm telling you, he's done it, and they're both good people and good athletes. I don't know.
I'll give you a secret, right? When I was wrestling in high school, and my dad can confirm this, before every single match, I think Tyler probably knows too, every single match,
I can confirm it.
I was underweight, so I would go to Taco Bell. I would get a 5-layer burrito and a Mountain Dew, right? Every time. So before my state finals, my junior year, and it was actually my fastest state tournament ever, I went up to my dad after weigh-ins that morning. I said, hey, can you like sneak out? Our coach was like super strict about eating like that. And I said, hey, can you sneak out and like go get Taco Bell? And then we went out of the venue, the Von Braun Center, and like ate it on the steps, then came back in. Like it was like that. We were like sneaking around the Taco Bell. That's funny. Super funny. But like, yeah, I wrestled all my state finals with a 5-layer burrito in my stomach. I don't know if that's a great thing or not, but
not really.
We worked.
Definitely not optimal for what you want to do.
You got the job. I'll say that.
Are you still eating it for breakfast now, Arick?
No. I gave up after day 30.
Okay.
You did the 30-day challenge?
Just for breakfast.
Like one movie. That guy.
Supersize Me.
Yeah, Supersize. Yeah.
Supersize Me.
Dude, I could blow that kid out of the water.
I'd like to see you do it with Taco Bell.
We'll turn it into
That's tough.
Competition, dude. Let me at him.
All right.
Let me at him. I'll do it.
We'll have you back on in 30 days to see how much weight you've gained in your face.
I bet you he loses weight. He'll go down to
He probably would.
If we can find somebody to pay for it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I feel like Joey Chestnut shoving burritos down.
Arick, you could get sponsored by the Right Here podcast.
There we go.
Did y'all watch any of the hot dog eating competition this year?
I did.
I seen a little of the replays.
I just want to know, like you gotta push past some kind of mental barrier to shove 75 hot dogs down your gullet. Like
that really is.
Dunkin' and just like, Man,
That is, yeah, I agree.
Now, do we consider that a sport? Because I know with Arick Shankles and Tony, I don't see eye to eye with the athletic.
I guess it depends on how you define
No,
sport.
I don't consider that a sport because you're just eating. Anyone can eat. I
Yeah.
understand
Yeah,
it's like
I
freaking
kind of go
eating a
along with
lot,
the idea
but-
that a sport, like, you have the ability to play, like, offense and defense on. So that's
I
kind
don't
of my thinking on it.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
skill, though. There's definitely a skill to eating 75 hot dogs in 10
I
minutes.
agree.
Not any person can do that.
Oh,
That's
Joey-
a skill. Yeah, that's the difference between I think a skill and a sport, or just, you know
Yes,
what I mean?
it's a skill, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's a skill,
Like
but it
I
definitely
can climb down and cut a tree pretty good, but I don't think that's. A
it's just one of those weird things that I don't know how you figure out how you do it, but somebody
Yeah, I
figures it
agree.
out and they're like, wow, I'm really good at this. I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, some of the craziest
200
things-
jalapenos in
Yeah, right.
30 seconds.
I don't know if you guys have a comment section, but if people can comment or whatever on the whatever you guys have, YouTube or
Nope.
what actually a sport definition is, because I know Sammy and my roommate who was on the podcast earlier, Ryan Cook, they say golf is not a sport, and they say a bunch of things that are crazy. Well,
I'll
one
say-
that is controversial is gaming, like Call of Duty competitive. I personally say it is a sport.
I'll say this. League of Legends and all these other. I'm a gamer. For those that don't know, like that's what I do
Yeah.
on Pat. Man, League of Legends, they have millions and millions of followers. Their prize pool is millions and millions of dollars. I mean,
Yeah.
even Call of Duty this year, their prize pool is $4 million. You're competing for a large amount of money, and at some level, man, it's got to be a sport. Now, is it the most prestigious sport in the world? No, but then again, you know,
Well, and then you think about like the amount of time that they put in to be that good at it too.
it's way more than people think. I mean, they're playing
Yes.
for 12 hours a day. Name any football player that practices.
Like my hand hurts thinking about that. Like just carpal tunnel instantly. Just
Sammy's shaking his head already.
Yeah, I
Sammy's
know.
internally blowing up right now.
Gaming, I love it. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. From Call of Duty to Madden to Rainbow Six Siege and 2K. It's not a sport, and I'll tell you why. It's
oh, this is gonna get good right here. Sit up for this one.
We're already arguing.
you know,
Eric sat up in his seat for this one.
Does it require focus, hand-eye coordination, and being attentive? Yes. But if I'm thinking of a sport, I'm thinking physical labor, and like I'm trying to dominate somebody else in the
That's just the
real
wrestling
world,
mentality.
not virtually, because I think virtually.
So would you consider like chess a sport? Because
No.
I think
I
chess
love
is.
it, but I love chess.
Yeah, Eric Hopp is shaking his head. Yes.
I would say yeah, because
I
you're
agree.
planning like so far ahead strategically, like you're
Yes.
thinking about the end game.
I think we're forgetting about the mental part of all sports that probably trump all of the physical part.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Even in like the physical sports and like wrestling, fighting, or football,
Mm-hmm.
like the mental part is the biggest thing.
See, I say if there's a winner and a loser, it's a sport.
Now, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's
When you break it down.
That's not bad.
sport. Like, I don't know. In pillow fight, is pillow fighting a sport? Because I beat you? I don't know, man. This is a little much.
Now,
Sure.
now we're pushing the limits a little bit on that, but
I think it has to involve a skill, right? A specific skill. Like any
so is bocce ball a sport?
is what?
Yeah.
Bocce ball.
Yeah.
I would say yeah. I mean, if it has a specific skill set that some people are really good at.
But Tony just said the difference between skill and sport.
But if you think about the people
You could argue about this all day.
who are competing at high levels, like they've increased their skill set to the point that even their like lowest level that they're competing at, they're still above you. You know.
Yeah. Now
So it's all about levels.
State this that I also love gaming and love bocce ball, and I'm actually very good at chess. fun fact for you: I was the master of puppets to Tony, my brother, playing chess, and I taught him how to play back in high school. And I think now he might get me, and that
Oh,
doesn't
he
sit very
definitely
well.
would. It's not mine. There's no mind about it, Sam.
Arick Shankles? People probably don't know Axis and Allies. It's pretty much an advanced version of Risk.
Dude,
If anyone's ever played Risk before,
Yes.
what was the crazy streak I was on playing against you and Tyler Val?
you gotta put it into perspective. If you think Monopoly is a long game, triple
Yeah.
this as far
Yeah,
as like
triple.
right. So like it's that intricate where like you're thinking it's like a replication of World War II. Like
Yeah.
if you're a leader in World War II and you're moving the pieces on the board, it's like that, dude. And we not talk like it's days. Like it can be days.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I tell you Tony beat me and Tyler Vath like 4 or 5 times in a row, dude, I lost my mind, right? Because it's like I'm wasting 6 hours of my time
Yeah.
by Germany in World War II, and like, oh, it's so frustrating. But yeah,
Demoralizing is the
dude, so to imagine in real life Germany wins. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't.
I personally cannot stand that game, Axis and Allies. I'm somebody that doesn't have patience, and it's hard to sit on a board. But I do love Settlers of Catan, though. That's a great game.
Catan is a good one. We're all gonna have to get together and play Catan.
Dude, I'll mop you guys up.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna block myself again.
Honestly, we should stay on Zoom after Arick sets up a board. We just
We'll just make you move the pieces.
Dude,
I have
actually-
not.
That's pretty fun.
So, I'm just saying, I'm ready for it. I want all the smoke.
So, kind of changing the subject matter here. And I want all 5 of us on this certain topic to chime in and, just talk about each person's feelings and thoughts and, experiences on the matter. And I want each of us to talk about a like certain moment in your past life that like kind of changed you as a man, and like with sports or in schooling or a girl maybe, or like just a like positive moment that like kind of made you think to yourself, hey, I'm a changed man, or like this really define me as the person I am. And I'll start with Tyler.
For me, I would go with when I transferred from the University of Alabama in Huntsville to Cumberland. So, little backstory. I don't know if y'all remember from the very first episode. Originally, I was supposed to go to the Coast Guard Academy to wrestle. I ended up having to come back home. I got hurt. I went to UAH for a year. Studied, started out in meteorology, ended up in pre-law, was kind of lost, like didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew that I wanted to get back into wrestling somehow, so reached out to Cumberland, ended up transferring up there. I would say for me, when I did that and getting into the room and seeing that, hey, I've still got it, and that, if I put my mind to it, I can still compete with everybody. I can work towards my goals that I want to achieve, and then, all of that combined. And yeah, my career up there didn't work out the way I wanted to. I got hurt a lot, that kind of stuff. I just couldn't stay healthy. But being able to see it through and then get a degree and look back and say, okay, I had this setback. I didn't get to go to the school I wanted to wrestle at, even though that's where I was recruited at. I didn't get to wrestle at state my senior year because I was hurt. I lost at sectionals because I got hurt. That kept me from all this. Looking back on all that, and then being able to look back and say, hey, these are the trials that I went through. These the walls. And I broke through the walls, and I got the degree on the other side, and say, I've achieved something. That's kind of one of the moments for me. I'm like, okay, I did this, and I can do whatever I want to now. So that's kind of my moment, I would say.
That moment, and honestly, like a main part of the reason I wanted to start this podcast is because like I wanted people to like feel comfortable talking about these kind of things, and like feelings and their past struggles and so on and so forth. But I'll let Arick share his special moment next.
So the one that sticks out to me it was fall season, first semester at Millikan, and I remember our head coach, Brandon Townsend. I can't remember what we were doing. We were running a drill, and we had, I think, like 60 or so guys trying out for the team, which was quite a bit for a Division III program, or at least I thought. And something happened. We stopped in the middle of a drill, and he was, kind of explaining something. And I just remember him saying, you can only fake it for so long. And immediately when he said that, I don't know, it stuck with me. And it's been something that I've always remembered. Just the simple fact that there's going to be, a lot of guys that show up, and the ones that really want to be there, they're eventually going to, sprout and bloom out of the rest of the pack. And that's something that I think is true with a lot of stuff, even outside of sports. And that's the one thing, right? When you said that, that's the one thing that popped up in my head, and that's one thing I'll always remember is you can only fake it for so long.
Nice little story, Arick. Tony?
I've been thinking since you asked, and I don't know if I can really dim it down to one specific moment, I guess. I mean, everything that has led me up to where I'm at now, it's like you're learning, and as long as you're learning and not dwelling, a big thing that a lot of people do is dwell on the past and your failures. I guess that would probably be the biggest thing. Honestly, with probably wrestling, I mean, that's probably that, or my last fight that I lost, I don't ever dwell on it. It happened. You can't change it. If you're still, if you're still looking in the past, what Kellen said, or what Hayden said to Kellen, if people haven't listened to that yet. I can't remember specically, but if you're looking in the rearview mirror.
The mirror, like,
yeah, if you're in the rearview mirror and you can't go forward, your car is gonna go off the cliff.
And when Hayden said that, and Tyler too, after Hayden said that, I was like honestly speechless, because him being only 22, I think, and being that young but being so wise, and tossing that coin.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It's something that will stick with me for a while.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty much it, really. Just kind of learning as you go, and even if you do make mistakes in anything, it doesn't matter. Working like I just said, cutting a tree down or whatever. You just go and move on and just continue to do things next better. That's about it.
Arick Shankles, special moment that changed you?
Man, so I'm gonna get real deep, and this is kind of a struggle for me, right? And I've never really spoke publicly about this, and I kind of like to keep this clean image, but not everything's clean, right? And so going at the end of my sophomore year at Edinboro University, I never, before I even say all this, growing up, the moment that made me grow up was moving 12 hours away from home, right? Moving to a completely different culture. But what made me a man was this little 1.5 year stretch of my life. So going at the end of my sophomore year, right after NCAAs, I hated wrestling. I hated it. I mean, with a passion. You can ask Tony. I mean, me and him were partners. I absolutely hated wrestling. I didn't want to be there. I didn't love the sport anymore. I questioned it. I'm sitting behind Sean Russell, a really good, really great wrestler. Probably one of the best wrestlers I've personally been able to train with and be a part of his career. And that was the year that he made the round of 12 or something. And I'm sitting behind him, and so I quit. And that was the first time in my life. It was after the season, so I kind of waited till the season was over, and I quit wrestling. And I, at that point in my life, I hated it, and I just didn't want to be there. So the first time in my life, I quit at something, and it kind of gutted me, right? And so I was really depressed at the time. And going into the summer, I was stuck around Edinboro. I was working for the university, doing maintenance stuff and just various stuff. And I had a couple friends, Jensen Loria, you guys know him, Fritz Hain, Matt Dowler, Nate Hagen, all of them, they kind of told me, hey, you should come back out and wrestle, right? So I remember walking into the wrestling room with the current coaches at the time and saying like, hey, I think I might want to join back on the team. And they looked at me and they said, you can join, but if anybody's going to get cut, you're the first one to get cut. You're going to be the very first person on the team that we're going to cut. No matter what you do, you're going to be the first person that gets cut. And I walked out of there. I'm like, it's fine, whatever. I'll just work really hard and I'll be okay. So then I had a great preseason. I was actually wrestling probably some of the best I've ever wrestled in my life. I had a really nice break for the first time in a long time. I was feeling kind of fresh. I was doing really great in the workouts. I was finishing top 4 in every single run that we did. And it came time at the end of preseason. I got pulled into a room with 4 people, and they told me, "You're off the team." So I didn't get to wrestle. I didn't have that opportunity to wrestle my junior year. And I remember the first thing I did is they said we were about to do some sprints out on the track, and they were like, "You should still come out and run with us and stuff. And you can run or you can wrestle club or something." And I'm a 4-time state champion. I'm prideful, and so I remember getting on my shoes and I went out on that track and I did the first sprint with them and I finished 3rd on the sprint. And I walked off the track. Tony, you were probably there. I was there. Mm-hmm. I walked off the track. I finished 3rd in the sprint. I looked at him and I just walked.
Wait, why is this kid leaving?
Wait, that's an epic way to go out.
Yeah.
I finished 3rd. And so then I walked out and I was like, I'm not gonna wrestle for Edinboro again. Fast forward a year later, I'm just being a bum, kind of how I said. And I get a call from the current head coach, Matt Hill, someone who I respect very much, probably one of the most impactful coaches I've ever been, had a chance to be a part of. And it was his first year at Edinboro. And he called me and said, "Hey, I'd love for you to come back out." And at the time, man, I'm out of shape. I'm absolutely just like a bum on a couch, right? Eating
McDonald's every day.
Yeah. And, so then I get a chance to go back out, man. And I was before that season, I really felt like I hadn't fulfilled what I came to college to do. And during that time, I got to wrestle, and start a little bit. I wrestled Oklahoma. I wrestled Nick Piccinini, Rayvon Foley, all these big names. And I wasn't as successful, right? I was a year and a half off from being able to compete with people that I felt like I maybe could have competed with coming into it. But just getting the chance to go back and start and wrestle for a team. And I actually wrestled in front of the first match that I wrestled at Macomb Fieldhouse in Edinboro was actually in front of the former coaches that cut me from the team. They happened to be there that night. And, that was just one of those redeeming moments where, you just persevere and you never know what life is going to toss at you. Right. So you just keep pushing and everything in life. You just keep going. Even if you get cut, maybe you'll get another chance.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome story. Thanks for sharing that, Eric.
It's definitely like I said, I never talked about it publicly. It's just it's one of those things that people are like, "Why are you have no results for your junior year of college?" Kind of didn't wrestle.
So I guess that leads me to share my changing moment, right? And before I do, I want to say that I have gotten a few messages on Facebook from posting my Facebook mental health videos and the podcast stuff, and I have never gotten such a honor from people, just random people messaging me saying that I am a very inspiring person towards them or towards certain people, and I love hearing that from people that I don't even know. People just messaging me saying, "Hey man, keep on doing it because I'm going to change the world." Actually, some girl said. So that's why I'm going to share this story, because why not? That's why I'm doing this podcast. So my sophomore year of college, very dark place. My ex-girlfriend ended things with me. I wasn't wrestling well. I wasn't getting the best grades, and so on and so forth. And I just remember sitting there in my dorm room, my second year of college, and just wanting to quit and just bail on school and just drive home and call it quits and just walk out of there. But I sat there in my dorm room and I really thought about it and how this would hurt me down the road. And I thought some dark thoughts, and I won't talk about that, but it changed me. And I'll tell you what changed me. And I have never talked about this publicly, is this album by Five Finger Death Punch. It came out the fall of 2013, and a song called Battleborn changed my life to like see things in a different way. So now, each time I like hear Battleborn by Five Finger, like it like just puts me in the positive mood and pushing forward. And each time I hear it, like I just think back in that uh, Rose Hall dorm room and just feeling so, you know, alone and feeling so sad that nobody likes me, or or thinking the like whole world is against me when really it's not. And I think now, looking back, that I was kind of soft, kind of a coward, but that is the moment that changed me. Is just telling myself and thinking, listen, I am not going to bail. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to finish college, and now it is all worked out. And obviously, I have struggled with my stutter, but listen, that has been going on for like since fifth grade. So that's like not like a specific moment, but it's like just something that always happens. Which, hey, that's who I am, and if people can't accept me for it, then hey, don't listen in, right? But yeah, that's my changing moment. But close second changing moment is probably winning states with Tony in 2012, because I saw him win at 99 pounds, and then me coming up at a buck 20. I was a bit nervous, and I put some pressure on me, like, man,
Yeah, senior year, last chance.
yeah, it's in my last match ever in high school, man. I put the pressure on me, but I got the dub, and there was
Job
two
done.
state champs in the same school that night, and it happened to be brothers. So a pretty cool moment.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
hmm Yeah, I guess all of us kind of told some depressing stories. No one, no one said any positive. There's the positive life changing stories, like Sammy just said, like the winning the state title.
I was gonna say I've got another one that was for me. That was being able to coach both Eric and Brennan in their finals matches. Like that was really cool. Being able to coach them throughout the season, see everything that they've worked towards, and then being able to be in their corner. And yeah, Eric won his, but Brennan didn't win his. So you're just riding that roller coaster.
Yeah.
So that was another one for me.
And I will share two positive stories that kind of changed me as well, and then let the guests chime in. So, the first one, playing football, actually, like maybe sixth or seventh grade, the game was tied, and like I felt on top of the world after this happened. So the like game was tied, right, versus our rival school. 3 seconds to go, tie ball game, and our quarterback throws a Hail Mary, right? And I literally laid out in the end zone, caught it, pulled it in as time expired. And like that moment, like just epicness of like me feeling, listen, like I'm on top of the world, and dude, like just an awesome moment, like catching the game-winning touchdown in like sixth or seventh grade. But Tony watched it on the sidelines.
Yep. I was young, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
my second positive moment is probably the like phone call I got from Jordan, Coach Bakley, saying, "Hey, listen, man, I want you to be the assistant coach at Lincoln, because I finally did it. I finally accomplished my lifelong goal, because I have probably applied for over 200 colleges, and each one told me that I need college experience to coach at college. And like Jordan finally gave me the go ahead to come here and change some lives.
Yeah.
So that's two positive moments.
This one's kind of unsports related, but I was traveling for a class. We were over in Denmark, and we were mingling with the locals, and one of the kids there had asked us, she said, what's it like knowing that you can travel anywhere in the world, being an American, and be able to communicate with somebody? And that was a very big life-changing kind of thought. and at the time I didn't even know how to answer it. I was just kind of starstruck. So it just kind of opens your eyes up to, you know, how lucky we are, you know, being in the U.S.
Very true.
and being able to, you know, communicate with anyone in the world almost. Yeah.
I'd say one positive moment for me. You know, honestly, I can think back on myself. I think one of the happiest moments I've ever been was my little brother, Brennan, his state semifinals match, and he came back and took the kid down like twice in the last minute. I would say, and there's video of me like jumping up and down and going crazy. And you know, we were back-to-back weights, so I had just made it. But I was more happy for him than I were for myself, just because I feel like for me it was kind of the expectation, you know. At that point, I was already 3-time state champs. Like, I'm expected to go to the finals, right? But for him, he was, you know, like he had a tough weight class that year. Like, anybody could have really made it. And he just so happened, you know, to come back and hit a nice fireman's carry and whatever. So I feel like that was probably one of the most positive moments for myself, was just watching him make it at the same time as me. So although we didn't have the same success as the Recco brothers.
Wasn't that the match where he got hit with a slide by like 4 times in that match?
No, it was an arm drag. It was a wrist drag.
That's right. That's right. I was
Is
just
it the match
like,
where his nose was bleeding?
stop posting on him, dude.
An outside trip, not an inside trip. He got arm dragged to an
Outside tripped?
Dude, it was insane.
That's hard to do.
This kid was so tall too. It was like, what is going on?
Was that the bloody nose match? Or was that?
No, that was his state fight. His state
That was the
finals
Oh,
final.
that
match.
was the finals.
He literally used all 5 minutes of blood time. Had to wrap his face up. It was like it won best match that year. It was like
That's funny.
It was insane. That was probably the craziest match I've ever coached. His finals match.
Thanks for just rubbing that in.
Just saying.
That you said that was your
Yours weren't
younger
even
brother.
close though.
Yeah, Eric, that was my younger brother.
So Tyler, Sam, you guys can probably relate, having obviously younger brothers. I mean, there's something about it watching your, you know, younger brother compete. You can almost feel it.
Yep. It's like you
Yeah, I'm
almost
the only
want to
one
like
here.
will them to the win.
Yeah, I'm the only one here without a younger brother.
You know, and honestly, the only other time I've ever felt like that, and I'll be completely honest, was when I cornered Tony for his second fight. The only other time I've gotten super nervous, like where I feel it in my gut, right? They always talk about I got more nervous for Tony fighting MMA and Brennan wrestling in his state semis than I did before I walked on stage in front of 3,000 people.
Yes.
And it's weird, but it's because you're so connected with the person and you just want them, like you said.
Mhm.
But man, I was probably the most motivational coach ever, though. Let's be honest, Tony. I'm
The most nervous I have ever been was Tony's first fight, by far.
It's funny because
almost threw up.
yeah, honestly, it's funny because I guess you have two different feelings. One, pure, you know, adrenaline, like Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He said he throws up before every fight. Like, you're so nervous. Me, I honestly didn't feel a thing. Like, it was the most calming, relaxing.
You just get in that zone where you're just like,
it was awesome. It is one of the greatest feelings to get in there.
Yep.
But yeah, I can understand where you guys are coming from, because it's like not you competing. Like you honestly have zero control of what's gonna happen. And that's probably like what it is.
I felt that same way when Gregor fought Kevin Lee, to be honest. I don't even know Gregor that well. I've only met him like once or twice, and I still felt the same way. Just because you know him a little bit, you know, you get that feeling like, man, like in your gut, it just makes you nervous. My hands start sweating.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
Yeah, honestly, I get a bit nervous of watching Yanni wrestle, like versus Zane, just because, you know, I have personally known Yanni and his family for like a decade now, and, you know, each time, like, you know, he's wrestling Zane or somebody tough, I'm like always like a bit nervous for him.
But I think that's what makes a good coach too, right? Like, you think about it, like why I think like Sammy, you're I've never actually seen you coach, but I'm assuming you're a pretty good coach. You still have the job, so that's, you know, always a plus. I think one of the things that makes good coaches is that you invest so much to where like you get that feeling for them, right? Is like when you feel nervous for somebody else, you actually care about them, right? Like you genuinely care about them to the point where you want to see them succeed. that's when you're a great coach, right?
That's
And
why
I
I
feel
like watching like old like Gable and the Brands brothers coaching because man they just get into it to where they're like down on the mat like doing the moves and everything like they just want them to win so bad.
Actually, Gable talked at his college, Eric Hop's college, back in his college day.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like I think the wrestling program at Millikan had just started out,
Yeah.
and it was before the first match, and Dan Gable came and gave a speech. I didn't know who he was, but man, after he got done talking, I was
Fired
ready to
up?
run through yeah, I was ready to run, man. It was awesome.
He's got that energy. I met him one time and talked about it on the last podcast with Hayden and Kellen. Went to NC State for a wrestling camp, and he was there, and he was like the main headline. And he had like just had a hip surgery, not maybe like a week or two beforehand, and he was out there doing the camp. He was beating up on high schoolers who were like really good, just like murking them, man. It was insane. I was like, this dude is on a different level. Like I don't know what it is, but he's got some kind of internal drive to where he just doesn't feel pain. He doesn't care, and
you can feel it when he talks. It's crazy.
Matt Hill from Edinburgh, he's the same way. I'd run through a brick wall for that guy. You know, I only known him for a year, and I still would. I mean, 2 years now, I guess, but at the time,
I'm a big fan of what Coach Hill is doing at Borough.
For sure. As an alum, it makes me very proud. Very proud.
I think the biggest thing that separates coaches is like the realizing every athlete is different. You know, like the different preparation that goes in, and I know Sammy knows this and does this. Like each kid, you just can't be like, you know, just yell at this kid. You know, the next kid may not respond differently, or he will respond differently to that. So you just have to, you know, and I know there's a few good coaches there. I know Sammy does that. With Arick during my fights, he calms me down, and I know that. Like, that's the privilege of me being able to pick a coach now is, you know, not that he knows, you know, much about what I'm doing out there, but it was just the mental preparation of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, totally.
Sharp.
Honestly, coaching in the wrestling room here, you know, I am very vocal, and you know, there's some kids I scream at, and they just, you know, shut down, and they stop drilling hard, and they stop wrestling hard. But then there's some kids that actually get more fired up and like start running harder or like start wrestling harder. So, yeah, obviously, I like kind of gauge how each kid acts differently and so on and so forth. But yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, like Tony said, I don't really know a whole lot about MMA, but just the relationship that me and Tony have, you know, being best friends for 3-4 years at that 5 years, you know, whatever it is, it just, when I'm cage side, I'm sure it calmed you down a little, at least a little bit. And the stuff I was saying was motivational, I think, it was like us, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like you were getting coached by some random guy that's not invested in what you were doing, right? It wasn't, It'd be like if I went in music wise, if I was working with somebody that didn't really care about my music, that was just trying to make money from me, or if it was somebody that actually cared about what I was doing.
Yeah, so, you know, this is a question for all of us. You know, what makes a good coach? Like, single trait, like, you know, really, what trait makes a awesome coach?
effort, pretty much. If as a coach you put the effort in and you are caring, and you honestly the competitiveness. I like when a coach is fired up and wants to win, and it makes you want to run through a brick wall. Just like the LSU coach, I forget his name right now for football. Yeah, I don't know why, but he just seems like someone wants to run through a brick wall for him.
I can't understand what he's saying, but it definitely his external stuff seems like he's going.
Yeah. As if you can tell the coach is putting the time and effort in, then you want to put the time and effort in.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you have to be as invested as your athletes, right? Or if not more. You know, you have to be so invested that it matters to you more than it matters to them almost, right? And then you got to bring them with you. You know, like you said, if they can make you run through a brick wall, you got to be able to run through the brick wall before they'll follow you through it, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with effort, and I'll also add preparation. That may even tie into it, but you can tell a big difference between coaches that are prepared for the practice, prepared for the game plan, and coaches that aren't, and it's almost night and day. And I think that's a huge part of it, and I think that also ties in with effort.
I was gonna say vision kind of goes along with the preparation and stuff, but if you got a coach who doesn't have a vision and you can tell he's just freewheeling it, you're never gonna be able to have somebody, you know, to support him to like fully be invested in what he's trying to preach because he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, you got to have a plan and you got to be able to sell that plan and make them actually buy into what you're telling them. You know, you can't just feed them crap and expect something to happen from it. You got to have everything laid out, go through the process to get where you want to go.
And yeah, I'll talk about this too. And I'll say two separate things. The like first one is honesty. I don't ever sugarcoat things to my athletes. If it is, on the wrestling mat or, in the classroom or doing outside activities like drinking or drugs, I don't uh, sugarcoat things. I'm always honest, straightforward, and I really think that, the like kids like that. And I think it it is the like best option is just always being honest and straightforward. But number two is caring for the athlete, and I think that the student athletes can kind of see and like recognize a like coach that cares a bit more than maybe their past coach did, and I think they like that. And I have gotten a lot of texts this past season, like of kids just thanking me and saying thank you for just caring about me and pushing me, and like that's the best text that I can never get. So yeah, I'm gonna say honesty and caring.
Yeah, I'll say this. If nothing else, the first coaches that I had at Edinboro, they were honest. When they told me they were cutting me, they were serious. They were 100% not lying about it. They were 100% serious. Even if it was even if it was 2 months prior, they were still set on it. They were ready.
Funny.
They were definitely ready.
Arick, how much fun did you have in New York this weekend?
So much fun. So much fun. When are we going back?
Jeez, whenever.
Not this weekend. We got Fight Island this weekend.
Yeah, Fight Island.
Fight Island.
Tony could come for since I'm throwing a big party.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, you want to hit them with the speed round?
The speed round. Well, honestly, like I wasn't planning on it, but I can think of some questions off the top of my head. Arick, favorite band, and I think I'm wearing it.
Wait, what?
Your favorite band?
Oh, AC/DC. Yeah, 100%. We've already talked about that. Yeah.
I tossed the shirt on.
In terms of 80s rock music and rock music in general, in my opinion, it's AC/DC. They just have too many classics. It's undeniable, right? They made themselves undeniable, and that's what.
Three chords in every song. It's the same three.
That's what you have to do as
That's every band.
You have to be undeniable in what you're doing, and the way to break through is just don't stop. Unfortunately, I'm stopping, so I guess I'm not taking my own advice. But hey, don't stop.
Follow your dreams, kids.
Yeah, right. Keep going. Don't stop.
Arick Hop, your favorite band or artist?
Oh man, favorite band. It's a tough one. I really do like AC/DC. Growing up, I always remember that was what my dad always listened to, and to this day, that's one band that I think will never get old. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Arick on this one, AC/DC.
Yeah, both Aricks. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and
Free Arick's think
I
alike.
rocked it for Arick Shankles, and I think Tony's answer is Five Finger for this,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Boo! I'm just kidding.
So next, favorite film. Arick Hop, go.
Top Gun.
Arick Shankles, go.
Saving Private Ryan.
Really? For me, it's probably Django, and I've said that.
Django is like, oh man, so it's the best movie for our generation, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question for everyone.
Oh,
If you could do anything in your life that you're not doing now, like what would it be? Like profession, you know what I mean? Like your profession. Like if
I
you had
will-
one dream profession.
Oh, I will actually start this. And one profession if that I would choose to do.
Not what you're doing now either. That's excluded.
Hmm.
Oh, mine's easy for me.
Okay.
Wanted to be a storm chaser when I was younger, so I'd be out trying to chase tornadoes.
That's awesome. I think you could still do that.
You could probably still do
Hey, I
that.
can still go and do it. Like all I gotta do is go get my meteorology degree.
Yeah, that's not too far out of it. You have a chance.
Yeah.
Arick Shankles, how
I
about
should
you?
have sailed now.
That's funny. I wouldn't think that. That's a funny one.
I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, if I could still make music and I could, break through, I think that'd be the thing I'd be doing.
I want to
You
hear a
never
different
know.
one. I want to hear a different one now.
If I wasn't
Yeah, no
making
music, no
on
teaching.
the spot,
Yep.
if I could have a profession,
Yeah.
gaming probably. I mean,
That's fair.
I'd probably play Call of Duty professionally if I could.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eric
that's-
Hop?
So I'm not doing it yet, but I am going to school for it in September. Architecture.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Wow. And for me, honestly, there's two things that kind of stick out, and the first is a band manager, because I can't sing, I'll play the drums, but I'll tell you what, I know a lot about music, and I think obviously the other guests here can kind of know that and say it, but yeah, I am a very knowledgeable in the music world and probably a band manager. But number two, not really a job, but I would like to study the old school samurai culture and learn
I
it
studied a little bit of that.
and just find my peace and being a warrior in old
Who did-
Japanese culture.
I did 2 classes on Japanese culture in grad
That's funny.
school.
So Sam, you can be my band manager, and that knocks 2 birds out with one stone. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Eric Cobb, isn't that you that just said the world would be a safer place if everybody walked with a sword? Was that you?
That was my high school geography teacher. Yeah, he said the world would be a much better place if everybody still carried around a sword. And I believe in that.
That's funny.
I just find the old Japanese, the old Spartan culture just so fascinating, and I would love to learn it and learn how those people were just so tough and so focused and just such good warriors. It's just cool.
I can give you some books to read on
Tony, what about you? You didn't
it.
answer.
I have 4 actually.
That's so.
And they're all so random. It's
That I
kind of
have
funny.
4 that I'd be.
Okay, I'll say 2 of them then.
Okay.
One would be a MMA fighter, to where I'm making good money. I'll say 3 actually. Another one would copy Eric and be a professional gamer.
I'm talking about.
And then 3 that I've just gotten into is if I could do it all over and start would be golf.
You're such a golfer now, dude. I see you golfing all the time.
I love it.
Turn into the next Tiger Woods, dude. You're
Putt
young.
putt champion.
I mean, yeah, I'm young. I don't know, maybe.
You can golf your entire life. That's one of
Need
those.
a coach.
That's one of those not sports that
That's
you could be.
And actually, Hayden stated that his favorite athlete was Webb Simpson.
Yep.
Golfer that I don't even know. So yeah, I was kind of shocked about that.
Golf is awesome. Golf is an awesome sport. That
It takes a lot of, that's the only problem I have with golf is that you rely on a lot of luck, and in other sports, it's not really as much luck as it is preparation.
I don't know. That is honestly sounds like someone who's never golfed before.
Thank you, Arick Shankles. Because of the terrain.
What? That means you have to right, Eric Hop?
It's tough.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why the professionals are professionals.
Yes.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I mean,
So yeah,
that's
since Tony asked us all the question, Shankles, how about you? You Want to ask the whole group a question?
Who, me or Tyler?
You.
Arick Shankles.
Oh man, ask a question. This is tough. What's your favorite video game of all time? Like
I don't even know what Sam's is.
Sam, go ahead.
I'm gonna say
Last
I'm gonna
of
say
Us.
Siege or the Last of Us 2.
Exactly. I knew Last of Us 2 had to be in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Last of Us 2. I have never played a campaign like it, and honestly, I would play it over again.
Yeah. Let me reword it.
A long time.
What's the most impactful game? So that would probably be Last of Us 2. I would say like not your favorite, but the most impactful game on you. Air Cop.
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, yeah. That's probably a lot of people. And Super Smash Brothers.
Mine, I'm gonna have to go with probably either Tom Clancy Siege or PUBG.
PUBG.
Because that's when I first started like competing, taking actually stuff seriously.
Hey, we were good. We were good at that game.
Yeah. Our PUBG setup was nice.
Mine would have to be old school Mortal Kombat for the Sega Genesis. For the simple fact that my dad used to beat me so bad at that game, I would cry. And
actual tears.
And I eventually avenged my losses when I got older. And now I don't think he's picked up a controller since. I think I retired the man. So
that's funny.
Nice redemption story. I would say mine. I'm gonna go with the whole series. Unfortunately, even though Call of Duty is my favorite series, the most impactful series is Halo for sure. Halo 1, 2, and 3 and Reach are amazing.
Yeah.
Specifically, Halo 2 and the Flood.
And the Flood.
I remember, I'm going to tell you a funny story. There's two funny stories, actually. So number one is there's this campaign mission where it's really dark in the Flood. They're chasing you around this library, right?
The library.
And the only thing you have is a flashlight, right? I remember me and Tyler were playing co-op, which is split screen for those that don't know, so you're playing at the same time. We were both walking down this hallway, and Tyler was behind me, and his flashlight was on me. He stops, and I turn around, and I look at him like, what? And he goes, they're on you. And one of them
it was so funny.
He goes, they're on you, and just
and start like just wailing into him, just pumping round after round.
Number two was me, Brennan, and Tyler were all playing, and we're on this desert map. I don't know the name of it. Forgive me. And there's these like Humvee type things called warthogs in the game. And I was inside of a dune, and all I see is I'm like walking this way, and I turn, and I just at the bottom of a warthog, right, and I peed my pants. So that was how that went. It was. I died so quickly. Like I turned and yelled, and he ran.
Yeah, you didn't just yell. You screamed. You screamed like turned around as the warthog wheel is smacking you in the face, and you screamed so loud.
Split screen Call of Duty and Halo has definitely changed me and Sammy.
Yes.
So many fights settled on those battlefields right there.
Man, those were some competitive times.
I will say though, PUBG with me, you, and Tyler back.
God, dude, that was so fun.
And just thinking of Halo 2 and playing against somebody else and the sword and the banshees, dude,
Freaking double needlers. That was so much fun. Rocket jumping across the map.
Such a great game.
I love the people that are going to listen to this and be like, what are you talking about?
How is this inspirational? And we're like, it's not.
We talk about everything here.
You picked the wrong guess for that.
And the last thing I like to do with each guest is I want the guests to share a inspirational message, and you know it can be anything. So I want all three of you, and like maybe me and Tyler as well, to take a few minutes and share a inspirational message of maybe something going on with this country currently, or just something that is uplifting. Arick Hop.
I gotta lead it off. I think the one thing that helps me is just the mindset of going day to day. Taking control of what you can in the moment. As I think I mentioned it earlier, today's the best day. Yesterday's gone, and tomorrow isn't here yet. And today will always be the best day, because that's where you're at and that's what you have. And you just gotta live it to the fullest. Don't wait for anything. If you can get it done right now, do it. Don't save it for later. You just mark stuff off your checklist. And I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Tony?
The biggest thing, I talked about mine last week, but with Arick Shankles being on the podcast and us hanging out, is, like I said earlier, like the first thing was staying up all night and arguing, and we still stay best friends. Like nowadays, people can't have those conversations to where, you have a different point of view or different anything and just yell at each other and storm off or post about them on social media. So that would probably be my biggest thing, is just listen to everybody's point of view, and then you can generate your own opinion, but keep it to yourself.
Arick Shankles, hit me with it.
All right. I think your life will be determined by how many people you impact. And when you die, how will you be remembered? And you have to think about that. And I'm not saying every single impact will be positive, and that's the unfortunate reality of our life, right? The unfortunate reality is that at some point in your life, you're going to make a negative impact on one or two people. Maybe some people, it's thousands of people, right? But it's how you come back from that and how many people you can make a positive impact on. And specifically with my music and hearing people reach out to me and being like, man, this song really got me through a lot, or, I really connect with this song or this and that. I think that's kind of helped me view that. And it also helped me kind of as a coach and being a future, hopefully high school coach, how many people can you impact in your life and then look back and remember you in a positive light? And like I said, not everyone's gonna have a great outlook on you. I'm sure there's a lot of people that dislike me personally, for things in the past. It happens, right? But it's how you move forward from that, and how many people in the future can I affect, right? How many lives can I change in the future? Whether that's 10,000 athletes, or whether that's 10,000 fans from music, or whether it's just you 5, you 4, right? I mean, that's it. Your life in the end will be determined by how many people look back, and when they show up at your funeral, you're going to have one person because you were hated. You're going to have 1,000 people because you were loved. I mean, be a good person. That's kind of the gist of it.
That's a awesome message from all three of you. So now I'll kind of share my inspirational message. I think the biggest thing that I could tell somebody going on and succeeding and staying positive, and I actually just posted on Facebook this morning after my yoga session, is finding peace in you, and because I think it is hard to go on and stay motivated and be successful if 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 somebody doesn't personally have that peace in their self. And I have that. I have found my happiness inside me and my peace inside me. And I think this country is kind of sad right now, and there's many hate-filled words and hate-filled posts on Facebook, and I want people to think first, hey man, is this the right thing to say? Is this the right thing to do? And am I happy with me as a whole? Or am I posting this because maybe I am not okay with who I am really, or at peace with who I am? And I think that's a big thing, is finding that peace, in you. And yeah, that's my message.
And we're all human beings, right? At the end of the day, whether you are whatever side of the fence you're on or whatever you believe, we're all human beings, right? And there are some basic things that are involved when you're interacting with other beings, you know, and like you just gotta, if you just stop for a second, take a breath, and think like, if I'm sending this message, is it going to impact this person who I'm sending it to negatively, or is it going to, or should I just not post it at all, right? Because sometimes not saying anything and being silent is a lot better than giving your opinion, you know. And I think
honestly, I'm gonna try to say this in a very simple way, because honestly, that's how I think. Is like, okay, if Arick Shankles likes Bama football, Roll Tide, am I going to hate you for being a Bama fan when I'm a Buckeye fan? No. Why? Right? Or if like Tony is a fan of the Dolphins, or listen, I am not going to hate him for it. So I mean, I just think of a very simple things, because obviously my family and friends don't hate me for having a stutter, right? But hey, so I will never hate somebody for thinking different or having a different opinion, because I know I wouldn't hate you if you guys cheered for a different team or had something wrong with you, like maybe a lisp or a different skin tone or something wrong with you. And I think that's also a big thing, is loving people for who they are and accepting people, because I haven't always been accepted for my stutter. And I'm happy that I finally am, like with my team and my friends and my family and so on and so forth.
Eric's just giving us a tour of the Alabama room right now.
Yeah, if
Getting
you're
all the
just
Bama
listening and
memorabilia.
you don't have a video, he just gave us about 30 memorabilias of Alabama.
But no, you're right, Sam. Yeah.
it just keeps going. It just.
But yeah, I mean, back to my point. Like, listen, I am not going to hate you just because I don't really like Bama football, but I am open to learning new things and like meeting new people and like hearing their side of the story and why they like that team, or why they're different, or why they have a different job. And I think most people in this country currently aren't having that same point of view to like, hey, maybe somebody thinks different than me, and that's a good thing. That's what makes us humans succeed, is like being different.
The collision of ideas.
Yeah, you don't have to be right.
Sorry.
There's always going to be a right answer. You know, sometimes there's gray area, and that's okay. And that's why me and Tony get along, right? There's a lot of gray area. Like, there's not, if he says something that I disagree with, he's not wrong, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make him wrong. But at the same time, I don't have to agree with it. But that's honestly, that's America. At the end of the day, that's America. We were built on the idea that you're free to have whatever idea you want and not be persecuted over it, right? That's why people came here. Because you can't be persecuted for your ideas. And I feel like we're kind of out of touch with that realm of things on both sides, right? On both sides of the spectrum, we're out of touch with that idea that, hey, he's not wrong. He just differs from what I believe in. That's okay.
Yeah, and honestly, like, because I like think of this stuff, like, if like somebody is judging me for my stutter or my stammer, like obviously it like doesn't make me feel good, and I don't think that most people think about others' feelings, and I think more people should, because if like somebody is like for example, I was always scared to like talk to teachers or coaches or like even somebody at a gas station. So say I am pumping gas and I go and pay them and I'm stuttering, like saying, hey, I am getting 20 on 2. And then that person says something about my stutter or picks on me, like it's just hard for like me to judge somebody if I don't know their backstory. And that's something that I think also has to change, is judging people.
I guess I'll
I feel like everybody's frozen.
I'll add
Is
a
everyone frozen?
little quote
No.
here that I saw. Did we lose Sam? There he is.
No, he's back. Yeah.
He's back. So I saw a quote recently that just kind of like resonated a little bit with me. It's from Ram Dass. I don't know if y'all know anything about him, but he's got a lot of really influential quotes that I think most of the listeners would like. But this one says, "Together we are all on a journey called life. We are a little broken and a little shattered inside, each one of us is aspiring to make it to the end. None of us is deprived of pain here, and we have all suffered in our own ways. I think our journey is all about healing ourselves and healing each other in our own special ways. Let's just help each other put all those pieces back together and make it to the end more beautifully. Let us help each other survive. And I think that just kind of puts everything that's been going on together in a way that, let's all come together and make it to the end beautifully. Like, it doesn't have to be this big divisive thing,
Yeah. And
Respect.
honestly, two films that everybody should watch before they die. And like I have always said this. The first one is Schindler's List, but a close number two is American History X. Why? Because like my favorite quote, other than like maybe Rocky's "Keep Moving Forward," is "Hate is baggage. Life's too short to be pissed off all the time." And I feel like that is the definition of what's going on. Is people are just pissed off and saying things that maybe they don't even mean, but things they maybe shouldn't say. And I just hope it changes soon for a more positive message.
Yeah, and number 3 is Shawshank Redemption because it's awesome.
Bingo.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Amen.
Tony's giving me.
Tony said, "Let's wrap it up. We can do this another time."
I got a tree to cut down in early morning.
All right, so that's been about 90 minutes. I think maybe our longest one yet. Ryan Cook was.
I think this was close to 2, wasn't it? No.
No, because we started at like 8 or 9:30. So.
Oh, we didn't break the record. I thought that's what we were going for.
We're still recording right now. Sam hadn't done the sign off yet.
We'll have to do another fight companion here soon.
Oh, I like the fight. We
can't copy JoJo, but
after White Island and talk about the fights.
Good. We should do some various topics. I think we all are pretty knowledgeable on like music, games, fighting, sports in general.
Anything.
Well, no, I wouldn't say anything. Come on,
I'd say most things.
Yeah, I would say most things. Other than maybe politics for me. But.
No politics, no religion. Let's just talk about sports. It makes everybody happy.
Hey, I am down for a Sunday fight companion. Us 5.
Again, I don't know if you guys have comments, but viewers, comment if you would like a Sunday podcast about the fight.
Oh, go to the YouTube page.
Go to the YouTube page and comment.
Everything.
Oh yeah, and go stream my music. I need the money.
Find him on Spotify, on Apple Music.
Yeah. Our podcast has like over 300 views, so that's pretty good.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, though. We got to keep getting the viewers up, getting the likes in.
Be sure to keep subscribing, keep liking, and sharing on Facebook. And I want to say thanks to Arick for coming on last second. I wanted to do it. Thank you, Arick Shankles, for coming on. I'll be seeing you on here soon. And thanks to my brother Tony for coming on and doing it. So
sounds good.
Our next guest is Nathan Tomasello. So
that's way better than us.
No, maybe.
Maybe we'll see.
Thank you, and be sure to tune in right here.
Right there.